G'day folks, and welcome back to the channel for part number 5 of my piercing Blademaster playthrough with Stabatha. Now, last episode we made it out here to the Prospectus Trail Rift, and we are going to be heading into the Pine Barrens. I'll probably run up to Homestead first just to get that Rift Gate. However, we do have some quests to turn in before that, so let's head over to Dead Man's Gulch here. We've got to talk to Steven Seagal and also to Colin Tavern. You can talk to Colin once we get to Homestead, but I'm going to do it now. I also have to mention that there was a patch very recently, and as it turns out, it's actually a massive buff for this build. I missed a line yesterday when I was talking about it, where I said it's kind of neutral, maybe a very slight nerf. No, it's a massive buff. If you look back at some of the earlier episodes, you may see me mouse over Ring of Steel here. This used to only have the offhand damage. 146% main hand damage was added onto this skill. And so now we get, well, you can see how much additional damage on that. This is like a 50% buff to the main skill that we're using for damage. And so this is the equivalent of something like 3 or 4 skill levels on this. For a piercing Blademaster, Infiltrator, whatever, for a piercing dual-wielding character, this is massive. So this patch has been very kind to the build. Also, where's the note? I think it was this one, but on the Harpy Devotion, we've added 8% crit damage, which is also quite good. Just see if it's not somewhere else. No, it is this one. So we've added 8% crit damage here. We've also got some additional buffs to the Belgothian set, which we'll be using at level 100. So it now gets additional buffs to, I think it was Markovian's Advantage. It may have been Zolhan's Technique. I should have had this up. One of these two gains a bunch of extra, I think it was weapon damage and flat damage. So that's a nice buff as well. So generally speaking, a couple of minor nerfs and then a huge buff to Ring of Steel, and then a couple of little buffs here and there, like Harpy. And I don't think there were any other devotions that I'm going to use, but I could be wrong there. Okay, with that said, let's get back into the actual game. And like I mentioned, I am going to run up to Homestead, and then we are going to be doing the Pine Barrens. Just kill a few things on the way. Once again, they are all made out of XP, so we'll go ahead and kill them. And this is quite an upgrade, I'm going to call it, compared to the first time I played this character, which was still decent. But by this stage, last time, these weapons, which are level 15, I mean, they're coming up on 15 levels outdated at this point. But they were very, very outdated last time. So pretty happy with how the build's going. And I'm going to go ahead and blame the 16 points in dual blades entirely for how good they are. Because it is a huge difference, and definitely recommend that you use those points, because I didn't last time and it was horrible. Alright, so we got a few heroes here. Reflective, not such a big problem for Pierce, but still something I do want to keep an eye on. Let's turn the loot off. We have got a few heroes here. We've got Lightning, we've got Horcrux the Terror, which is probably Vitality. But I'm actually not sure what he does. He's nicely hidden behind the tree, so I can't see what's going on. Storm Touched is very, very obvious. He's lightning damage. Alright, and everybody's dead. Let's have a look at the loot. Desert Sting, nice little pistol. Wraithcrawler's Mantle. I want to say I had this one already, but either way, not very good. We are looking potentially at the Flesh Warp stuff. My plan does have the Fetten Mask in it, but until we get that, the Flesh Warp Cask is just generically good for anything with Soldier in it because of the buffs to Warcry. In addition to the health. Actually, I think the health might be vigorous though. But it definitely comes with resistances there, which is very nice. And as I said, just generically good for soldiers. So we will potentially be using that. I do think I need the current helmet for the moment due to resistances. Having said that, the one I just picked up does have um, Elemental, which is the one I was looking for. It doesn't have Chaos, and I do need Chaos resistance, but I'll have a better look at it here in a second. Once I've killed Harath the Slaughterer. I know, like, looking at the word, I know that that is how you're supposed to spell Slaughterer, but it just sounds wrong to say it. I'm sure there are better names we could have used. I'm pushing the button here for Shadow Strike, but I think because I'm holding left click down, it's not firing quite so reliably. There we go. Alright, Fleshwalk, Bulwark. Elixir of the Aether is good. Assuming that's the resistance one. It's not, it's rubbish. Never mind. I take it all back. If you didn't talk to Colin before, he will be here. I swear I talked to them already. Apparently I didn't talk to them. That's alright. I'll pick up the rest of this stuff. And then I'll go back and talk to old mate. Level 29. What I'm thinking at this point is 1 point per level in Ring of Steel and 2 points per level in the bar. I'm going to put 1 point in Elemental Awakening. I am not going to put points in Merciless Repertoire. The extra damage is okay. It's not amazing. It's just okay. But it's the wrong type. And the cold and acid percentage and frostburn and poison percentage. And we're not doing any of that damage. So I'm not too fussed about that. So 1 point in Elemental Awakening. Then we push up and get Circle of Slaughter. Now, this is going to be really good because we have 22% chance to avoid melee attacks. And then we also have some more avoidance over here. We'll be getting, I think, the eel. Anyway, we've got a lot of avoidance. And then giving the enemy targets that we hit a chance to fumble their attacks as well. This is all just more evasion, more chance to not get hit. And then once we start adding Soldier, we'll be getting armor buffs. We'll be getting more hit points. Soldier has the highest hit point increase of any mastery. Speaking of the patch though, one thing I forgot to add is all of my physical resistance is gone, and instead I get 20% increased armor here, which is huge. Physical resistance, I think I went from 8% to 0. That is quite a big nerf. Still overall a buff for the build, but that one definitely hurts. Right, so let's get some more cunning online. We are coming up on level 35, which is when we can change the honed longsword, assuming I don't find something better, into the Dermot Terran Slicer. What do we got here? Ruin is useless on this. Vigorous is good, but we'd be swapping Chaos for Pierce. The extra armor is good. I think I'm going to keep the Incendiary Cask. I probably will swap it to a Flesh Warp Cask at some point, but not yet. And then Aether to Fizz. Okay, so the damage conversion doesn't affect us, because any Aether damage that we converted to physical will not be able to be then converted to piercing. And we're not converting Aether to piercing anyway, so again, I think I'm going to... Actually, that's 8%. That's the low roll from memory. I think I'm going to leave this for now. Battlecry is really, really good, but I may end up swapping the Flesh Warp Pauldrons for a little while. We are going to be taking the Devil's Shoulders at 35 for the physical resistance. And then I think at 65 we're getting the Coven stuff, it looks like. But for now, we'll just leave it like that. Alright, let's go grab Olgrim, and then we've got some bugs to squash. Fingers crossed I left this portal right next to Olgrim. I did, I don't know why he's still here. We're just going to pretend that I talked to him the first time, and this didn't happen. Probably got distracted by waffling again. Okay, I'm actually going to go to the Prospectus Trail, because we are doing Pine Barrens today. So, I've got some boomsticks, and we are going to make our way over to the location to dynamite the wall, or to dynamite the road, so as we can get into Pine Barrens. Now, the great thing about Pine Barrens is there are several devotion shrines in here. There's also a whole bunch of quests that you can turn in all in one go. So if you have got any items that give you percentage increase to XP, like for example, the Explorer's set or Lokar's set, if this is not your first character, then this is an amazing place to have those available, and then you just turn them on, or you put them on rather, when you're turning in the quest to the Black Legion, and you get a very large boost to the XP you're going to get from those. There's a lore node over here. I usually walk past this because honestly it's kind of not worth the time it takes to walk over there, but I'll get it this time. So this section, unfortunately, is all goblins and spiders and briar thorns. So unfortunately, oh, you're a big boy. Unfortunately, we're not going to get not going to get a huge amount of flesh warped gear out of this section. In fact, I think there's nothing in here that can drop it. Pick that up. So we'll have to wait for that. But the second part of probably this episode, Pine Barrens usually takes about 20 minutes. And most of that is due to me waffling. One day I'm going to upload a series where I don't talk. I just play through the game, and you'll be amazed at how much less time things take when you're not concentrating on, well, basically waffling. Anything to jump to over here? This would be a good place for the teleport from Dreeg, but I think I've kind of committed to the bit on that front. We will be getting Dreeg, but probably not for a little while. Don't really need to focus on getting the Dreeg stuff done until sort of 60-ish. So most likely I'll be doing the acts in order, because the Dreeg stuff just kind of doesn't matter until 65. There's no advantage either way. And in fact, we probably could do Bismail or Soleil and be fine for reputation. You can just farm it once you get to a certain point. Anyway, that's fine. I'm going to stick with Dreeg, but I think relatively confident you could just not do Dreeg. Okay, Manticore Alphas, or anything with a yellow name, you can potentially get Manticore eyeballs from. The heroes, I think, have like a 30% drop chance. Also looking, oh, I was going to say I'm also looking for the quest item, but there it is. So while that was true, I'm no longer looking for that. You want to be killing Manticore Eye, there we go. You can pick these up and put them in the bank, and then pick up another one and put that in the bank, and then pick up another one, and then you'll never have to pick another one up because you'll have all three for all three different difficulties. But they do, as you can probably see here, they drop like candy, so we can just leave that. Now, Mogara here is extremely dangerous, especially if there are goblin shamans in the area. So I'm looking up here, I'm just seeing, okay, lots of briar thorns, but no goblins, so we can just go ahead and kill her, honestly. Now, you watch her tail, first time, okay, next time she whips her tail back, that's the Sunder. And then it's kind of on cooldown, not quite, but kind of. Here it comes again. And go. There we go, easy. Once again, not using this. Alright, so I've got really good rolls on Mogara's Fangs here. Mogara's Fangs is going to be the amulet of choice for the build, at least until I find something better that's blue or purple. Stone-Faced of Alacrity is fine. Alacrity is amazing. Stone-Faced is actually okay. And this will be giving us +1 to soldier skills. That flat physical damage on the Mogara's Fangs there, that is base. So all of you will get that if you're playing along. And at some point I may try and farm of the Grove, but for now, we're just going to leave that. If you do want to farm of the Grove, now is the time to do it when you are low level. The lower your level is, the less affixes are in the pool, and so the easier it is to get of the Grove. I don't think it's going to be an issue though, so I'm just going to use that one. Okay, with that said, we can go and kill ourselves a big spider. So there's a bunch of quests in this area, and I've picked up 0 of them, but that's because I know where I'm going. So if you don't have the quests, you are definitely going to either need to follow what I'm doing, or know the quest yourself. Because otherwise they won't show up on the map, you won't really know what you're doing. Okay, we are looking for a hidden door, and by hidden I mean it's not going to show up on the map. Like this one here, that's not the door I want. There are a couple of places to check. The first one is just here, so it's not there, or it might be here. It's one of these two. I think it might be this one actually. But the thing you want to be looking for is this L shape on the map. So just here at this side of the L is another potential location, and then over here at the other side of the L, just there, turns out it was an L because I didn't find it. But the other location it can be is down to the south, so I'm going to beat my way through all of this. Healers have to die immediately. Yes, I said immediately. And where is it? Here it is. So this is the other location. The totem you see on your map there is an ancient totem. So again, ancient totems potentially are quite dangerous. I'm going to activate this, and depending on what I see, I may just run away. So let's have a look. Okay, trolls are dangerous, but not deadly, is what I'm going to call them. Okay, void touched, reflective. I think I'm okay with this. What are you, Blazewing? I think that's fine. Got pretty good avoidance or dodging and fumble, so it should be okay. Watching my health bar. I've already used pneumatic burst, so I had my finger on the healing button ready to go. Right, superior of alacrity is pretty good for a bone crusher. And we've got resistant of scorched ends. Okay. Poison and chaos instead of... Nope, okay, we're not going to use that. That's a weapon. Nope. Thawing. The armor is nice, but otherwise no. And yeah, I think none of this. But the XP is good. Again, if you're going to farm Mogara, do it now. And don't farm totems, because you want to be as low level as you can be in order to do that farm. Alright, Priest has got to go. And we'll find our way through these guys. Priest is a generic term I use for anything that heals, by the way. It's not specifically for a monster type called a Priest. I think these things are Witch Doctors. I think there's a Plaguemancer as well, potentially. But anything that has that model is going to be healing things, and you're going to want to kill it first. Okay, so next quest is in this cave. That's why you've got to find the cave. We have Old Bloodbriar at the end here. This is, from memory, a Blade Arc amulet, or is it a Blitz amulet? I can't remember. It's something soldier related. We'll have a look. So this is the Blackthorn, who is reflective, otherwise known as Dalinar, which if you know, you know. And here we go. Old Bloodbriar. We should be able to just hold down left click and kill this guy without taking a huge amount of damage. I would not say this guy is particularly dangerous. We'll see. We are taking a decent amount of bleeding damage, but also 80% bleeding resistance means I'm not too worried about it. Alright, Bloodbriar's Thorn. It is indeed the Blitz one. +3 to Circle of Slaughter, in addition to plus Ring of Steel cooldown. This is actually pretty good. I'm now second guessing my choice to use Mogara's Fang. I may end up using this one just until I get Soldier online, because +1 to Soldier skills is not very useful when you're not a soldier. So I may end up using the Bloodbriar's Amulet until then. Inscribed Braces Really good if you're playing Elemental. We're not. I think is it the Prismatic Braces are pretty good for resistances, but just leave our gloves as they are for the moment. This section through here is normally crawling with Trog mages and Trogs and all that sort of stuff. Very quiet this time, so I'll probably go back and it'll be full of spiders that spawn behind me. Alright, this is who we're here for. When you see this cow, you're about to get jumped. So Ungoliax, the Gloomweaver, drops the +1 to all Arcanist skill points amulet. So fairly important target if you're playing an Arcanist and using it for your main skill. Unfortunately, the +1 to Nightblade skills amulet is quest locked behind Honored Reputation with Devil's Crossing, which means unless you're going to go and farm a whole bunch of Cronley's Lads or really bad in normal, you can farm the bounties as well. Do not recommend it. It just means you're not going to get that for a while. Alright, so devotion point number 1. We are over here on the Blades of Nadan, so we have to take this one. 40% piercing damage. I mean, it's going to take that one anyway in order to get to this one. So that's looking good. Every time I see this amulet, I just think I really need to make a Vitality Spellbinder, because Vitality Devastation seems pretty good. Alright, level 30. You know what's special about level 30? Nothing. Level 35 is the next one we care about. 1 in there, 2 in there. And we'll go, I think, Cunning. Cunning until further notice. I am very sure that I'm going to need more Cunning for... It was worms through here, okay. I'm going to need it for the weapons. So we're just going to keep pumping Cunning. And, I mean, worst case scenario, I have to go and get a couple of items with... Where are these when I need them for a build? I have to go and get a couple items for stats, and that'll be fine. See these things? All that extra damage on Panetti's, all the extra crit damage. I make a Panetti's replicating missile build, and I farm for those things for hours and never see one. As soon as I don't need it, I swear this game has a desire sensor. Same with Magi rings or Alchemos rings. As soon as you don't need them, they're everywhere. Okay, there could be a treasure trove here. There's a couple of locations around this castle we're in that that have treasure trove potentially, so we're going to try and find those. Big damage boost right here. Where is it? That one. 118 flat piercing damage, 50% increased. Really good. One of the fun things about this particular build is you can actually, if you've got a couple of yellow things, so we do need the Panther and stuff, you can kind of just leave this one and move on to the next part. I'm going to finish this because I think, let me just double check what's on the plan. Okay. Blades of Nadan, then Assassin's Blade. Yeah, so I will actually need this, but you could just chuck 1 point in here now. Leave this uncompleted. 1 point in yellow. Take Assassin's Blade. And then Assassin should be available, I think. Maybe not. Maybe I'm remembering the devotions from last time. Doesn't look like that works this time, but there definitely is a way where you can take just the really good stuff from those devotions and leave a lot of the filler until later on. I've probably gone a different route than I did last time, which is fine. I spent probably about an hour and a half trying to optimize this particular route, so I'm pretty happy with it. I think the only change is the only change I would maybe make is swapping out the Panther and not taking it, and instead taking the Tortoise. And then for the very last point, I would have to spec out of the Panther, or out of the Tortoise to take Panther, because we'd be 1 point short, but I don't think I'm going to bother. Speaking of treasure troves, which I was talking about, oh, that's unfortunate. Treasure trove, is it this one? If it is, it's not here. Priest. Kill the priest. This one? This one? One of these two spots potentially has it. It could also be over here. Or it could be down in the lower section. So, a couple places it could be. I do need to go back to town to empty my inventory, which is... I guess it's good. I do need bits. I've only got 100,000. I am going to be buying a few more blueprints relatively soonish. There's also the Caimans or Death's Vigil medals, which could be useful later. To get a good one of those, I mean, especially if you find a triple rare, which you can shop from the hidden shop there. If you find a triple rare, it's going to be 220,000, I think, iron bits. All right, let's go vendor some stuff. And I think I'm pretty happy to just sell all of this stuff. This build is actually really good. So I can never remember, I think it's the medic's belt or something like that that has a skill that lets you heal yourself. This one is a circuit breaker. So when your health drops below 20%, you get a big heal. Unfortunately, 20% is not really a safety net that I'm comfortable with. So I'm going to skip that one. But might have been maybe worth using. Alright, and yeah, I already decided I was going to skip using the flesh warp stuff for now as well. Alright. Bank it. Bank all of this stuff. We're going to eat that right now. Okay. Back to, what is it called? Fort what? Tyrant's Hold. Fort Tyrant's Hold. That's what we're going with. Alright, time to step inside. Now, the boss of this area is relatively dangerous. Shouldn't be too big of an issue. We'll just dodge most of his attacks, so it should be fine. Problem with dodge tanking, and this is a thing in MMOs if you ever play those, you're either overpowered or completely gimped and useless. So, if you can dodge enough attacks to where your defenses are solid, then you will dodge enough attacks to the point where you are basically invincible. And if you can't, then it's always better to just focus on armor. Good thing about Nightblade, and the good thing about Grim Dawn, I guess, is because it's not a multiplayer game, no one cares that Nightblade's dodge defenses are absolutely busted. Because if I want it, I can just take Nightblade, and it's fine. And there's no competition either, so that helps too. I found a dead end here. I think it's mostly the competition that causes the cries for nerfing and buffing. So there is a little bit of that if you're ever on the crate forums when there's a patch going on. You will definitely see hollering, shall we say, for nerfs and buffs. Mostly buffs, which has its own set of problems, but at least it's not everyone screaming, Warrior is OP, Paladin is OP. There's nothing of that. And Paladin is is definitely not overpowered in Grim Dawn. Okay, do I want to go and get the dynamite? I think probably no. I think it's over here, right? I don't remember. I'm not going to go and find it. We do have the loot in the walls, which is always fun. So I'll go and grab that. We'll just ignore all the other loot that I walked past in order to get this. None of that really matters. Alright, and we're nearly to the end here. So a few more goblins. I'm not too worried about these guys. As long as they don't have a priest with them, it should be fine. Always grab the loot in the walls, though. Again, not that I expect this to actually be good, but yeah, maybe. So this next room, we did indeed have there's a boss behind this door. So this one right here, it's locked. Oh no, I'm stuck in here. Just like with Rorschach, though, I'm not stuck in here with them. They are, unfortunately for them, stuck in here with me because, you know, I'm the main character. We definitely want to be eliminating priests in here with extreme prejudice because Old Mate up here and his Drangul enforcers friends here, these guys are really tanky, do a decent amount of damage, and see all that bleeding damage going off there. Alright, let's see if we can get him to stand on that. Does that trigger for him? Doesn't seem like it. Alright, that's fine. I should be able to just hold left click on him. I've got enough life steal and regen that it should be fine. I am constantly bleeding. And as you can see, I'm evading enough attacks that it's probably fine. Haven't used Pneumatic Burst for a little bit here. We've got the King's buff going on as well. And I'm feeling relatively confident here that I can just literally hold left click and he'll die. So I think I'm just going to do that. Should be using Shadow Strike more often. I push the button, but it doesn't always go off. Okay, Blood Feast is dead. We'll grab his mark, grab the dynamite, grab the one-shot chest here, Exalted Stash, guaranteed blue or better. In this case, blue is all we get. And not so great. Nope. Mantle of the Drangul could be good. That is a lot of extra armor. There's a lot of extra offensive ability. I don't care about the defensive ability, but that is a decent amount of that as well. Health regen, no. Gun is a no. Helmet, no, not enough resistances. Yeah, I think we're good. Alright, no need to run out the exit here. We can instead just rift straight to the Pine Barrens Rift. Walk over here and talk to all of our friends. Now this, right now, is when you want to put on your Locars set. It's when you want to put on your Explorers set. It's when you want to drink your XP potion if you've got one. Make sure you have as much bonus XP as you can get, because this is about to be a lot of, if I can click on the right options anyway, it's about to be a lot of XP. So, there we go. What are you doing out here? Need any assistance? And boom. So that was basically a level. And if I'd had, let's say, Locars set and maybe some Leovinus rings or something, it probably would have been close to 2. Or at least 1.5, you know. Anyway, just the 1 for now. So 1 here. Chuck 1 point in here. Later on, once we've got some more plus to skills, that 3% elemental resistance will be much more useful. Actually, I'm going to leave it for now. I don't need elemental resist at the moment. This is just going to reserve more energy and give me some cold damage that I'm not boosting. So we'll just leave that one for the moment. And I think we just pump the bar. Yeah. So 40 points doesn't really get me anything. It's only at 50 points where I get 1 point in Blade Spirit. So we probably won't get there before we take our second class. Alright, so we got eggs, we got Olgrim in Homestead, and we got Calderos later. Actually, before we start Homestead, let's go ahead and get rid of Calderos. There is a devotion shrine in the lower parts of the Steps of Torment as well, so we can kind of just go for a little bit of a run. Hopefully we'll find some hero beasts out here as well. Really good for Homestead reputation. And also if you're farming Mogara, that is also good for reputation. There's a bunch of different ways you can go in order to get to the Steps of Torment. I'm not actually even sure which way is faster. I know when I was farming it with my skater, I was not going this way. I would go down this way and back around. Again, I don't know if that's fastest. I definitely did test it, and I think the other way is therefore faster because that's the way I kept going. But that may have something to do with movement mechanics when using What is that skill called? Volcanic Stride is the second part of it. Oh, Corpran has got to go. Anything corrupted is going to leave Aether on the floor like that. One, when he dies, and also when he will just at random, or after a certain amount of time, they'll just put some up. Something is definitely hurting. Oh, it's this guy. There was another corrupted. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Didn't get caged into it, which is definitely good. What do we got? Banshee's Misery and the Ranger's Helm. What is Banshee's Misery? A cold damage offhand. So a nice little book. Right, so that's some good stats and armor, actually. Formidable is good. Healing effects increase. Formidable used to be physical resistance, and they really are working hard on just deleting phys resist as a stat, making it incredibly hard to get it. A little bit of hidden loot here, which I think I've mentioned that I like finding the hidden loot. Okay, once again, the glowy yellow priests have got to die immediately. No longer being one-shot by Shadow Strike, which is not ideal. But every character kind of gets to that point. Especially, I just picked up the quest. I should not have picked up the quest. Especially with level 15 weapons. Sword that does not have armor piercing on it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I shouldn't have picked up the quest to kill Zarthuzalan. Now I'm going to have to kill Zarthuzalan. Alright, I think we can skip a lot of this stuff. So we are looking at level 2. I think level 2. Also, these knights, again, tickle a little bit if they hit connect. Dodging a third to half of their attacks is always good. Checking here for a treasure trove. It's not here, unfortunately, because I like treasure troves. That's alright, I'm sure I will find it on the next floor. Once again, loot in the walls is always good. The actual loot is rarely good, but yeah, it's fun. Big groups like that is definitely worth jumping into and just firing off all of the Ring of Steel procs, plus the actual Ring of Steel. Okay, so Respected with the Rovers is good. That gets me more access to components. That gets me more access to any items that I may wish to use at level 35, which, I mean, spoiler alert, there aren't any. Not from the Rovers, anyway. Nope. So this cell here, aside from this corrupted guy, potentially has a treasure trove in it. Let's not stand in that. This one I'm not so confident on. I think the treasure trove can be along this wall as well. Don't quote me on that one though, as I'm not 100% sure. Let's go 1 there, 2 in there. Probably those stat points, I'm going to take most of them out once I do take Soldier. Because that's a lot of points just to get Execution, which, yeah, Execution's nice, but we're going to be drowning in weapon pull skills anyway. Alright, that'll do. Don't need to kill all of that. To the next floor. Okay. Here's our Devotion Shrine. This is what I was actually here for. I do think I'm going to kill Zarthuzalan as well, but I'm definitely not doing the actual Steps of Torment. Very good chance as well that it's worth skipping Zarthuzalan. I just don't want to be staring at the quest log and seeing his name in there. But it's definitely worth considering just skipping him. He is a decently rippy fight. If your fire resist is not capped, don't fight him. And even if it is, be very, very squared. He can do a lot of damage almost out of nowhere. Alright, I didn't remember to put points in cunning either, so let's go ahead and do that. Loot in the wall here. Alright, clearing the area around this thing is always a good idea. Once again, we're looking for priests. We do not want any in the area. They will come walking in from off-screen. So just have a look around. This door's blocked, which is nice. Means they can't really get here. When you activate this, they will spawn on the other side of the wall as well. So potentially there is now a priest on the other side of that wall. We'll see how we go. There's definitely one here. What do we got? Bloodthirster. Let's just get out of there. Okay, getting decently trucked here. I think that is the physical damage. I see you, Mr. Priest. You healed your last skeleton. Okay, and this guy just kind of wandered in from off screen. Done, done, done. Alright, I think the attack speed here. I think DA and attack speed. Yeah. Yeah, we'll take that. Did I just see... Nope, I'm going crazy. Alright, this part I recommend to skip if you are at all worried about dying. Do not fight Zarthuzalan if your fire resistance is not capped. Just don't do it, it's not worth it. My neuroticism about having quests sitting over there is definitely not a good reason to go and fight him. I definitely shouldn't be doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Alright, here's the treasure trove, found it at last. Death Whisper Ointment is really, really good. Very expensive to craft, but it is one that is actually useful during leveling. The Aether, the Chaos, and the Vitality damage ones are pretty much the only ones I ever use. Coming up on another location where the treasure trove could have been. And there is also potentially an Exalted Stash here too. So just past these guys on the right in the little water sections. Do I really want to fight Zarthuzalan? I mean, the answer is no. There's my Exalted Stash. Treasure Trove, I think, is potentially down there. Lake Plates of Valor are pretty good. If you didn't find your Exalted Stash there, it could be in one of these cages. And there's one other place I'll show, kind of over this way. Die Priest. And die Other Priest. There we go. Take the shield. Never going to use it, but I'll take it. The last location is just kind of here. You know what? We're not doing this. Zarthuzalan can stay in the quest log. It's not a good idea to fight him. And one of the reasons why I decided to do over this character and also the other one, which will be coming after, is because of... basically, I was calling these kind of beginner-friendly builds and then going and running through Steps of Torment at level 20-something. So definitely not a good idea at low levels. Right, we can now get one of these on. I think it's going to be that one. So that's good. And I'm not looking at any of these gloves and boots. Mostly that's because... That's a nice belt. I can't use it. Mostly that's because in 3 levels, we'll be getting faction equipment, and that is going to completely fix our gloves. Gloves, boots, shoulder, chest. You could use the helmet as well from Devil's Crossing. So there's a lot of stuff here. These pants I am absolutely hanging on to. Piercing and bleeding is not amazing, but physical resistance is quite rare on equipment, so we'll keep that. I don't really need that wardstone, do I? I could definitely use an Aether Soul instead. Isaiah Redden, if you completely side with him, will sell you resistance potions. Well, potions in general. And definitely worth getting. All right, we're going to cut today's episode a little bit short because we're already up to 45 minutes. I usually cut the episodes between sort of 50 to an hour, and the left side of Homestead takes a little bit more than 10 or 15 minutes. So I am going to cut it out here. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye for now.